Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. We are reading When Cicadas Cry. It's another mystery novel. I picked it up because the name is very reminiscent of, well, the names of Umineko and Higurashi. Though I don't think the authors of Higurashi and Umineko know about this author, and I don't think this author knows about them. I've never read this story before. It's by Caroline Cleveland. Or Cleveland. I don't know. Described as John Grisham meets Harper Lee in this immersive thriller. So, we're going to give it a read. After we finish this, we'll hop back into Umineko, though we will be playing Union Rhythm Psychosis when it comes out in a little less than a week. Summoned by some ancient call, only they can hear. Magi cicadas? Magic cicadas? A genus of cicadas appear only once every 17 years. The red-eyed creatures swarm like locusts, their incessant whir dominating the summer air for weeks before they disappear as mysteriously as they came. In dormant years, their larvae lie deep in the ground, but they are not hibernating. They are burrowing and becoming destined to reemerge. They were last seen in South Carolina in 2017. That same year, a brutal murder took place in a rural church nestled deep in the brooding shadow of the South Carolina lowcountry. Like so many evils, its seed had been sown years before, where it had since lay burrowing, becoming destined to reemerge. Chapter 1, 2017. I never meant to kill the first one. She was an accident, her own fault for the most part. And the second one, she was a casualty of necessity. Wrong place, wrong time. But this one was different. I crouched in the dampness of the night air, watching her through the leaded window of the old church. She seemed to glow under the soft light shining down from the rafters, and I couldn't help but marvel. She had the unforced beauty some women are born with, the kind that turns heads and clouds judgment. Killing this one would be painful for both of us, but she hadn't left me a choice, had she? My thoughts faded into the papery rustle of a wind through the thick palmetto fronds. She paused in her work for a moment, the cloth in her hand resting along the rough-hewn wood of the ancient altar. Her head turned slightly, not so much that I could see her eyes, but enough to see it, a quickening. It was as though she could feel me there. A week ago I would have believed that was possible, believed our connection was that strong. That's what she wanted me to believe. But now I know better, knew what had to be done. That's the thing with a secret this old. You're not keeping it anymore. It keeps you. I eased up the steps to the door, pocketing my gloved hands, and careful not to make even the smallest sound. Something old and dark within me began to uncoil, to make ready. Even so, my stomach quivered as I thought about what I would have to do inside, how hard it would be to raise my hand and kill this creature I had so adored. Would she know as soon as I walked in? Would it show on my face? Or would she not understand until it was too late? Then again, it was already too late. Chapter 2. The clock read 4:23 a.m. when the cell phone buzzed. Zach didn't recognize the number, but it was likely a client in some kind of trouble again. This better be bad, Zach warned the caller, shaking off sleep. We're way past bad. This Zach Stander? The deep voice was familiar, but Zach couldn't quite place it. Who wants to know? Elijah Jenkins, from over near Walterboro. The voice added when Zach didn't respond right away, and then the memory clicked into place. Zach practiced in Charleston, South Carolina, but he had held a one-day free legal clinic over in rural Colleton County, giving advice to anyone who wanted to attend about low-level criminal matters. Things like speeding tickets or driving under the influence, mostly small-time stuff, but miraculously it had led him to a few clients with bigger problems. Sounded like Mr. Jenkins might have found himself in that unfortunate category. Zach recalled him as an older black man, probably in his early 70s, with noticeably little to say, like maybe he had more than his share of stories to tell, but knew better. "You still there?" Mr. Jenkins asked. Behind him, Zach heard Addie stirring, and he eased up and toward the door. The woman had many fine qualities, but being gracious when roused from sleep was not among them. "I'm here," Zach said, closing the bedroom door and padding down the dark hall of the too-small apartment toward the kitchen. Where a white stream of light from the street lamp spilled in and puddled across the floor and countertops. "Odd hour for a social call. You in some trouble?" "Yeah, only it's not me. It's my grandson Samuel Jenkins. Sam's in big trouble, and we need a lawyer, a good one." Zach winced at the last comment and inwardly questioned what Eli Jenkins would think if he knew Zach had been required to offer that pro bono clinic as penance for misdeeds of his own. "Is Sam a minor?" he asked instead, staying on task. "No, sir, he's 24. Anyway, I got a call last night from a cousin who works with EMS. Said they'd been dispatched to the New Hope Baptist Church out on Cicada Road. A man called in and said he needed an ambulance. Gave them the address, said something about blood everywhere, then hung up. Didn't give his name, but they got equipment tells who's a number registered to most times. It was Sam. Cousin told me he'd let me know more once he got there, but said I shouldn't go over to the church. But of course you jumped in my truck and drove over there. You gonna tell me this, or you want to listen up?" "I'm listening." "You went to the church." Zach ran his free hand through his dark, sleep-tousled hair, then dropped it back to his hip. "Yeah, took me about 15 minutes from the farm, and man, it looked like a war zone. Red lights, blue lights, yellow lights, headlights. I haven't seen so much chaos since Nam. I parked the truck out of the way and ran for the door, but a couple of cops, big fellows, stopped me. And wouldn't let me near the place, said it was a crime scene, but wouldn't say any more. Couldn't get a soul to tell me what was going on. Seemed like days, but it probably wasn't more than an hour before they brought Sam out. His head was hung low, and he was walking all wrong. His legs might give out. They'd parked some cruisers with the headlights pointed towards the door, so I could see him clear even from way back there. Could see it all over him. See what? Blood. The old man's voice caught in his throat, and he paused like he might be choking back something too big to risk losing control of. I broke free and ran toward the EMS truck to meet him there, only they didn't take him to EMS. They walked him the other direction. That's when I noticed he was in cuffs. The next thing I knew, they were putting Sam in the back of a cruiser, hauling him to the sheriff's office. I called over there looking for him, but they said they done took him to the detention center. That was fast. It probably means he wouldn't talk to them. That's good. Have they charged him? Zach asked, afraid he already knew the answer. The vestiges of sleep were long gone now, and adrenaline coursed through his system like an electric current. Murder, Mr. Standard. The older man's voice caught again. I know in my bones he didn't do this, but I've been around long enough to know being guilty and being found guilty are two different things, especially for a young black man. I take it they found a body in that church, someone Sam knew. A white woman named Jessica Gadsden. Apparently went by Jessie. I didn't know her, and as far as I know, Sam didn't either. You guys say either or either? At least he never mentioned her to me. I met her daddy a time or two over the years. Buford Gadsden. His family's been in these parts for generations. Not someone I'd expect Sam to have a lot in common with. Has a Confederate flag sticker on the bumper of his truck, and he hangs out at a hunting lodge with a tight-knit group. Zach leaned against the counter and let out a slow breath as it sunk in. The low country was already teeming with racial tension. 2 years ago in 2015, a local cop, Michael Slager, had gone rogue during a routine stop for a missing taillight and shot Walter Scott, a black unarmed suspect, in the back 5 times. Months later, Dylan Roof, a young man from the upstate with stark white supremacist views, had ruthlessly massacred 9 black parishioners attending Bible study at Mother Emanuel African Methodist Episcopal AME in parentheses, church, an historic church with ties to slavery abolitionists. Roof had been sentenced to death 6 months ago in December 2016. That same month, Slager's first trial had ended with a hung jury, but the dauntless female solicitor had charged back for a second round, and that second trial was anticipated to take place later this year. Now, amid the mayhem and social unrest, Zach was being asked to represent a black man accused of murdering a white woman from a family with deep roots in the community and in a church of all places. In a small southern town like Walterboro, this wasn't a murder case, it was a powder keg rolling through a wall of fire. Having gone down in flames himself in the past, Zach couldn't help but hear a little voice inside urging him to turn and run. "Did they let you talk to Sam?" Zach asked, though he knew the likely answer. "No. I hung around for hours, but they wouldn't let me see him. Said only his lawyer could see him for now, and asked if he had one. I said yes, but didn't say who. Just said they'd be getting a call." Glancing at the blue glow of the digital clock on the microwave, Zach did the math. If he left Charleston now, it would be 6 a.m. Before he could get to the jail, the Colleton County Detention Center was located in the county seat of Walterboro. "Mr. Jenkins, call me Eli." "Okay, Eli. I'll call the detention center now and let them know I'm his lawyer and confirm they can't talk to him until I get there. I'll arrange to see him at 7, if not before. Will they let me come with you?" "No. And you couldn't anyway. My conversations with Sam are only privileged if they take place with no one else present. You understand what that means." "I think so. Stay away for now. I'll call you after I've spoken with Sam, and we can meet and talk about where we go from there. Can you do that for me? Sam's all the family I have left. I'll do whatever you need me to do." "Okay then. I'll talk to you later this morning." "Okay then. And Mr. Stander, call me Zach." "Zach? Yeah. Thank you." The phone went dead, and Zach laid it on the counter. He flipped on the small light over the sink and reached for the coffee maker. As he stood in the soft shadows of the room, listening to the hiss of the water heating, he replayed the conversation in his mind until it hit him. Unlike most callers in trouble, Elijah Jenkins hadn't bothered asking if everything would be all right. The old man knew better.